She laughed. Loud, sharp, and cruel. The kind of laugh that cuts deeper than words ever could. I still remember the way her eyes narrowed at me, the way she tilted her head as if my failure was the most entertaining thing she had seen all week. And maybe to her, it was. You see, when you fail in front of someone you secretly care about, it doesn't just sting, it burns. And when that person mocks you for it, that burn turns into a scar you carry long after everyone else forgets. I thought I could handle it. I thought I was strong enough. But her laughter, it broke something in me that night. My name is Daniel, and if you had met me back then, you would have seen nothing special, just an ordinary guy trying way too hard to prove himself. I wasn't rich. I wasn't especially gifted. But I had dreams. I had something inside me that wanted to fight for more, to show people I was worth believing in. And at the center of that fight was her, Clara. She was beautiful, confident, the kind of girl who walked into a room and made everyone notice. I'll admit it, I liked her more than I should have. Maybe that's why I tried so hard that night. Maybe that's why I wanted to impress her. But when I stumbled, when I made a mistake that everyone saw, Clara didn't just ignore it. She laughed. And that laugh wasn't private. It wasn't quiet. It was loud enough for everyone to hear. Loud enough for me to never forget. I can still hear it echoing. But here's the thing. Life has a strange way of putting people exactly where they need to be. Sometimes the same moment that shatters you is also the moment that sets something else in motion. And that's where her sister comes in. Emma, Clara's younger sister. She was nothing like her. Where Clara was sharp, Emma was gentle. Where Clara saw weakness, Emma saw effort. She was watching me that night too, but not in the way Clara was. She didn't laugh. She didn't turn away. Instead, she looked at me as if I was more than the sum of that one mistake. And for reasons I didn't understand back then, she didn't let me walk away from it. I didn't know it yet, but that single night, the night I failed and became the joke in Clara's eyes, would become the turning point of my life. Because failure has a way of rewriting everything. It pushes you, it molds you, it forces you to either stay down or rise in a way no one expects. And while one sister laughed at the idea of me ever becoming someone worth noticing, the other, she celebrated something I hadn't even achieved yet. But what she did next, that's what changed everything. Because sometimes the people you least expect to believe in you become the reason you win at all. And Emma? She was about to do something that would flip both of their worlds upside down. Before that night, things were simpler, at least on the surface. Clara and I weren't close, not really, but she was always in the center of the circles I tried to step into. She had this way of pulling people toward her without even trying. Everyone wanted her attention, her approval, her smile. And me? I wasn't immune to that. I first met her through college events. She was in my literature class, though she barely seemed to care about the subject. Clara was more about appearances, who sat beside her, who whispered her name, who followed her online. I can't lie, I was drawn in like everyone else. She was bold, outspoken, and quick with her words. The kind of girl who could compliment you and cut you down in the same sentence, and you'd still walk away thinking about her. But then there was Emma, Clara's younger sister, quieter, softer around the edges. She didn't walk into a room demanding attention. She slipped in, unnoticed at first, and then you realized how steady her presence felt. Where Clara's energy was like fire, Emma was like water, calm, patient, and quietly shaping everything around her. The three of us crossed paths more often than I expected. Emma and Clara came from the same family, but couldn't have been more different. Clara had the spotlight, Emma had the substance. And maybe I should have seen it sooner, but my focus back then was all wrong. I wanted Clara to see me, to notice me, to think I was worth her time. That's why I signed up for the open mic night at the campus cafe. It wasn't about music or talent. It was about proving something. I had been practicing for weeks, pouring myself into preparing one song that mattered to me. It was raw, imperfect, but it was mine. I thought if Clara heard it, she might understand a piece of me she'd never noticed before. But when I stood up there, the nerves strangled me. My hands shook, my voice cracked, and halfway through the performance, I completely blanked. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by Clara's laugh. Not a chuckle, not a nervous giggle. A full, sharp laugh that spread to a few others in the crowd. My face burned as I stumbled off the stage, humiliated. And that's when I caught Emma's eyes. She didn't look away. She didn't laugh. She just watched me with this strange kind of focus. almost like she could see past the embarrassment and straight into what I had been trying to share. Later that night, when most people avoided me, Emma found me outside. "You were brave," she said simply. No judgment, no pity, just those words. And that moment stuck. I didn't know it then, but Clara's laughter wasn't going to be the last thing I remembered from that night. Emma had planted something different, something I didn't understand yet. But I was about to find out that her belief in me would come at a cost neither of us expected. After that night, things shifted in ways I didn't see coming. Clara barely acknowledged me anymore, except for the occasional smirk when our eyes met in class. It was her way of reminding me of that night, of reminding me I was the guy who froze on stage. Part of me wanted to disappear, but another part burned with something else, the need to prove her wrong. Emma, on the other hand, started showing up in places I never expected. At first, I thought it was coincidence, bumping into her at the library, sitting across from me at the cafe, even joining the same volunteer project I signed up for. But the more it happened, the more I realized she wasn't just happening to be there. She was choosing to be. She'd ask me questions that no one else cared about. Why that song? What made you want to perform? She listened, really listened, in a way that caught me off guard. I wasn't used to that kind of attention, and it felt dangerous. Because the closer she leaned in, the more guilt I felt. I had wanted Clara's approval. I had chased it. And now here was her sister, the exact opposite of her, giving me something Clara never would. That's where the conflict started to take root. Clara noticed. It wasn't obvious at first, but I caught the way her eyes lingered when she saw Emma and me talking. The way her laughter got louder when I was nearby, as if she needed to remind me of my place. And then came the comment, just one sentence, but it cut deeper than anything before. "Careful, Emma," Clara said one afternoon, loud enough for me to hear. "Strays get attached when you feed them." Emma froze. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to defend myself, to fight back, but the words caught in my throat. And Clara smiled, smug, certain, like she had won again. That's when I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. It wasn't about one night of failure. This was about Clara and Emma, about the tension between sisters that I had stumbled straight into. And the deeper I got, the clearer it became. This wasn't going to end quietly. Because Clara wasn't about to let me walk away with her sister's attention. And Emma, she wasn't backing down either. But the real question was, where did that leave me? And what was I supposed to do when both sisters stood on opposite sides, waiting for me to choose? From that moment on, every day felt like I was walking a tightrope. Clara's laughter still echoed in the hallways, but now it wasn't just about me. It was about Emma, too. She had made her choice clear. She kept showing up, kept standing beside me, as if daring her sister to say something. And Clara did. Little digs here and there. A sarcastic, "So brave of you to try again, Daniel," whenever I mentioned music. A smirk when she saw Emma handing me notes in class. Even whispers behind my back that spread faster than I could keep up with. But Emma never wavered. She kept nudging me forward. "You can't let her voice be louder than yours," she told me one night. We were sitting on the campus steps, her hair pulled back, her eyes lit up with something fierce. "You have more in you than she'll ever admit." Her words stuck. They sank into the part of me that still burned with humiliation. And slowly, the fire shifted. It wasn't about proving myself to Clara anymore. It was about proving something to Emma, and maybe to myself. That's when Emma made a suggestion I wasn't ready for. "There's another open mic coming up," she said. "Do it again." The idea terrified me. The memory of standing under those lights, hands trembling, the room spinning, all of it came flooding back. What if I froze again? What if Clara laughed louder this time? What if everyone did? But Emma's eyes didn't leave mine. She wasn't pushing me. She was believing in me. And that kind of belief, it's hard to walk away from. So I agreed. For weeks, I practiced like my life depended on it. Every mistake, every broken note, every moment of doubt, I worked through it. And Emma was there for all of it, sitting quietly in the corner, humming along, reminding me when I was too hard on myself. Her presence became my anchor. But the closer the night came, the more I felt Clara circling. She had a way of sniffing out moments when she could break me down. And this time, she seemed almost threatened. "You really think this changes anything?" she whispered to me in the hallway one afternoon, her lips curling into that familiar half-smile. "You'll always be the guy who choked. Nothing will erase that." But what scared me more wasn't her words. It was the way she looked at Emma after she said them. Like this wasn't just a game anymore. Like there was something deeper at stake. The night of the open mic arrived faster than I was ready for. My palms were sweating, my chest tight, but Emma stood in the front row, her hands clasped, her eyes locked on mine. And just beyond her, Clara leaned against the wall, arms crossed, that same mocking smile painted on her face. The lights dimmed. My name was called. And in that breathless moment before I stepped onto the stage, I realized this wasn't just about a song. It was about choosing which voice I was going to let define me. And the choice I made was about to change everything. Just as I gripped the microphone, ready to finally face my fear, a voice cut through the silence. "Wait, before you play," Clara called out from the back. The crowd shifted, curious. She stepped forward, her heels echoing against the floor, carrying that smug confidence she always wore. But then, her words stunned everyone. "I wrote that song." The room froze. My chest tightened. What was she talking about? The song I had practiced for weeks, the one Emma had encouraged me to perform. It wasn't Clara's. It couldn't be. But she pulled out a folded sheet of paper from her bag, waving it like proof. "He stole it. From me. Ask Emma. She knows." All eyes swung to Emma, my anchor, my one steady place in all this. And for the first time, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. The crowd buzzed with whispers. Doubt crept in. The weight of Clara's accusation pressed down on me harder than any stage light ever could. If this was true, everything I'd worked for would collapse in an instant. And the look Emma gave me next held a secret I wasn't ready to face. The room felt like it was caving in on me. Clara's words hung in the air like poison, and the crowd fed on it. Murmurs, stares, judgment already forming. My throat went dry, and for a moment, I thought about walking off that stage, letting it all crumble. But then Emma stood up. "Enough, Clara," she said, her voice shaking but firm. All eyes turned to her. She looked at her sister, then at me, and finally at the crowd. "He didn't steal anything. That song isn't yours, it's his. I know, because I'm the one who gave him the lyrics." The room went silent. My heart stopped. Emma's words rang in my ears. She had given me the lyrics? Clara's face twisted. "You what?" Emma's voice steadied. "It wasn't about you, Clara. It never was. I gave him the words because I believed he could give them life. And he did. You never even noticed what they meant, but he did." Gasps rippled through the room. Clara looked furious, betrayed. And me? I stood frozen, piecing it together. Emma had been behind me all along, not just supporting me, but literally giving me the voice I needed to rise again. The crowd began to shift, the weight of Clara's accusation fading as people realized the truth. All I had left was to decide what to do next. And so, I lifted the microphone. My hands were steady this time. My voice didn't crack. I poured every ounce of pain, humiliation, and hope into the song. By the time I finished, the room was silent, not with judgment, but awe. And then they erupted. Applause, cheers, even a few tears in the front row. Emma smiled, her eyes shining, while Clara stood in the back, pale and trembling with rage. It felt like victory. It felt like freedom. But just as I stepped off the stage, Emma leaned close. Her words meant only for me. "There's something you need to know," she whispered. "Those lyrics, they weren't mine either." My heart dropped. She pulled back, her expression unreadable, and in that instant, I realized this story wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. The applause still rang in my ears as I stepped out into the cool night air, the sound of voices fading behind me. For the first time in months, I felt lighter. I had done it. I had faced the stage, faced Clara, faced myself. But Emma's words clung to me like a shadow. Those lyrics, they weren't mine either. I turned to her, needing answers. "What do you mean? If not yours, then whose?" Emma hesitated, her eyes softening. "They were my mother's," she said finally. "She wrote them years ago, but never showed anyone. After she passed, I found the notebook. Clara knew about it, but she never cared. You did. That's why I shared them with you. Because I knew you'd understand." The pieces fell together. Clara's sudden accusation, her insistence the song was hers. It wasn't just jealousy. It was about control. About claiming something she had ignored until it had value in someone else's hands. I exhaled, the tension slowly loosening in my chest. "Emma, you could have told me." She smiled sadly. "I know. But if I had, would you have sung them with the same fire? Or would you have held back, afraid you weren't good enough?" You needed to believe they were yours. And she was right. Without that belief, I never would have stepped onto that stage again. We walked together in silence for a while, the night stretching around us, the city buzzing in the distance. Finally, Emma stopped and looked at me. Daniel, tonight wasn't about proving Clara wrong. It was about proving yourself right. Don't forget that. Her words sank deep. All this time, I'd been chasing Clara's approval, her validation. I thought if I could win her over, I'd finally matter. But in the end, it wasn't Clara who had pushed me to rise. It was Emma. Emma, who had seen me at my lowest, who had believed when no one else did. As for Clara, I saw her one last time that night. She stood outside the cafe, arms crossed, her usual smirk gone. For the first time, she looked small, angry, yes, but also defeated. Our eyes met, and I realized I didn't need her laughter or her approval anymore. She had been the spark that burned me, but Emma had been the flame that rebuilt me. I walked past Clara without a word. That night, I didn't just win a song or an applause. I won something greater. I won back the part of myself that believed I was worth something. And though the story of the lyrics might have started with their mother, the story of what they became, that was mine. Sometimes, the people who laugh at you are only chapters in your story. But the ones who celebrate you, they're the ones who stay until the end. And Emma? She wasn't just a chapter. She was the beginning of something entirely new.